Is it them?
Now, I believe we are back.
Wait, what are we waiting for to start? Wait,
Dealing
Karen,
with
are
some
you in?
technical difficulties over here.
Are you?
Oh.
Oh.
And
Okay.
no
All right.
audio, says Jim.
All right, no, that's fine. That's fine. I just want to make sure it's going. Ready. Ready. Fence. Halt. So my vision's occluded.
We have
My vision is occluded. What did you see?
Declan Maloney here in gold again.
What about follow-up?
He is one of the best fencers, one of my favorite fencers. He's on my team. So this is totally a non-kosher.
No.
He's
The
up
problem
against
is
Jamie.
you actually had the only eyes on it.
What's his last name? I don't know.
So you saw initial attack fails. I agree
This
with
is
that.
Declan here on
from
gold
blue.
is the captain
And
of
then,
Team Castile here in this team's
gold
event,
is good.
which
Right.
is absolutely dominating under his leadership. And
Why do you
personal
think it's out of
prowess.
time? Is there a do you see a conk action?
All right.
Then it's
So welcome.
that means
After quite
welcome
a
back,
while.
everyone. We're
definition
sorry
is
for the technical
timing.
difficulties.
just did you
Now we're
do
back
a
up.
footwork or did
Oh,
you
got a hand of that
conk
shot.
your hands back to do
After
another
quite a while
action?
of
But I
technical
think it was in
difficulties,
travel
we are
at
back.
the time that the hit came in. Right?
I did not have the stream up on my phone to maximize.
We see double.
Oh, yeah. Let me do that then.
Yeah.
Apologies for the technical delay. It was probably
Yeah,
all RJ's
we
fault.
see parry, initial attack from blue parried.
But it's been-
we see
it's been resolved,
riposte
maybe,
from
maybe.
gold good to the head. We see blue's action in time without cock coming in as well. But that was shielded from my view, but we heard the sound. So double, ready, fence.
Okay, I think we're back for real this time. Who knows if we really are, but
And yet another longsword match
Oh!
in here.
I think they're calling that
So
blow
gold cuts
to
down into
Gold's
the arm.
hand.
It has enough travel, it's very light.
I think it just snuck under the crossguard.
Point gold for the falso to the arm coming in.
Oh, never mind. I think gold got one
Ready.
in. It was obscured,
Fence.
and then blues would have been out of tempo. Oh, one-handed thrust there. Cheeky.
Halt!
Now,
Point
counters
gold.
works into each other.
That's match. Gold.
All right.
I think that was called in favor of gold, but it might have been.
That
a
was
double.
actually very close. So blues comes in like this. The cut is expended, and the thrust lands to the side without actually hitting. Good match though. Back up. That was a good one that they just got to see.
Yeah, give the camera a little something.
A little some of these.
There we go.
A little some of
Got
this.
some moves
A little
here.
Special treat.
majestic dodging.
Ooh, gentlemanly.
Very formal.
Yeah. That's something you don't get to. You know,
All right.
You're not gonna get that in every bout. So appreciate that moment from Derek over there. Now we're gonna have what I would guess is longsword again, but I can't actually tell.
Looking like a longsword from Gold Fencer that I'm seeing.
Ready, fencer.
Yeah.
Ready?
Fencers are in the ring. But it
Fence!
is longsword. Blue fencer coming in.
Halt! So both of golds didn't have the appropriate cog.
I think
the second one was close to 45 degrees, but I think
Let's see
even
what the
that
judges say.
didn't reach. The initial ones. All right. So hold calls early. Both of those don't have 45 degrees of travel. The second one was
That's what I
close.
thought they were going to call. Neither cuts had sufficient
No
travel.
pass. Ready. Fence.
The pass will be refenced.
Halt.
Oh.
Cut to the arms. Point gold.
Blue came in aggressive but stopped, and that gave Gold the opportunity to
Are you sure?
land a crisp little cut through the.
I think it was
forearm,
very
looked
light,
like.
but I think light is what we want. Ready. Fence.
Blue coming in aggressive but stopping.
Halt. That's a
Yeah,
double.
Interesting. It looks like Gold's
Molly's
hand
to the
gets
hand,
tangled up with
and then
Blue's point
cut to the
there,
head is good.
but I'm unsure
Thrust
if
to the
that
hand
will
is
actually be
good.
a quality
Cut to the hand.
blow. It's hard to see what happened there. but it
double.
looked like, yeah, it looked like Gold. did
Ready.
that cut.
Fence. Halt. So that's point gold, and that is a yellow card to Blue for hitting the floor. That was rather under your own power. So, all right. We
I
got
believe the director's
yeah, match gold
technical foul
and
for
yellow
hitting
card
the
to
ground.
Blue, if it matters.
Well, actually, never mind. Sorry. In teams, it's all counted the same. But because we want to protect these very nice floors and not have to pay for them. If
Oh,
something
no,
happens.
I'm sorry. No. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's a technical foul.
Yeah, that's what he's saying right now. It is a technical foul in
Are
both
they out?
games and all the other events.
Is that the contact?
And so
Right.
we have
Am I right?
different personal and technical fouls at Boar this year. This is to allow
Careful with that, though.
us to
That was
differentiate
kind of
between
hard into
significant
the floor.
safety
Yeah, careful.
infractions and the less bad infractions
Yeah, that was too hard.
that
He like put his sword
on
down
the
pretty.
floor. We don't want
pretty
to on
hard.
the floor, but also we don't want people to get black
it's a
carded
technical
because they
foul.
touch the floor.
not
So
a
we've
yellow card.
created two separate
That's right.
streams. A technical foul
Indeed.
will accumulate
And it shouldn't be,
Yes.
and it wasn't.
ad infinitum until of losing points.
Because- You know who it is? Who's in ring one? Were you paired up with another team a moment ago? Were you paired up with another group?
Captain, I was
All right, yeah, sounds good. Were you guys paired up with another group? Yeah, were you paired up with another group? Did you see another group? Who are they? Who were you
I
about to
think we're
fight?
going to have long sword again.
All right.
Now,
I'm just trying to
Adam,
make
do
it
you
go
think
faster.
That Blue Fencer in that last bout
All right.
would have benefited from
And it's related to this, maybe?
at the beginning of the bouts rather than advancing and then
Yeah.
stopping.
That's right, because it'll.
Continuing forward.
It goes-
motion
it goes
into some
slow.
Sort of action, or that conversely that either with that was correct, or that Blue should have been even more conservative.
That's a really good question. I mean, obviously, it depends on the individual style of the fencer and what works for them. I feel like Blue was excited
That
to
is
be
harming the
aggressive
hip
and
leg.
get that kind of step in. It seems as though they
Just
hesitated
had
perhaps out
one
of
where he
nervousness
goes
or,
really
like,
slow
kind
and
of
just.
assessing their opponent. I think they could have benefited from that additional aggression, just personally. I think if they had come in and committed to an action, they may have seen more success with that. Yeah. What do you think?
I think that you're
All right.
right.
We'll just
I
take a
think
moment.
that had Blue Fencer
Yeah.
been more aggressive. Now, Blue Fencer was much shorter, and
just
that's a
consider-
significant disadvantage.
Consider
But
the life.
but conversely,
Having a
once
nice tournament
somebody's
week.
in the pocket, once somebody's at a much closer distance,
No, I don't
the
think.
shorter fencer may have a little bit more room to maneuver, and will certainly negate that
Yeah.
advantage.
Oh.
Now, I think there is something to be said for,
Yeah, true.
as Fabrice would say in his text, proceeding with resolution. And I mean, not necessarily doing it in the way that is specifically outlined in that text, but simply moving forward at a constant or near constant rate as a way to close distance, to get
Are you in
something on
ring
your
one?
opponent, to establish a good position, and just
The
go
other
in.
team was
And
told
it seemed
long
there
sword.
like Blue got close
The other ring.
and then
the other
hesitated.
team.
And
was
I think
told
that
long sword.
Blue, because of the hesitation, that they ended up in the worst possible distance, where the
Right.
opponent could land a hit
Oh,
without
right.
a step or with a small
Good.
step. But for Blue,
Yeah,
it would necessitate
because there's a
one step or one
can
large
you-
step or two small steps,
Ask about it.
and that's a really dangerous disadvantage to be in.
All right.
And I think
One
that blue should think about the distance there, the relative distances there, as something to improve on.
Yeah, there's
Yeah, absolutely. I think we could see some
or
really
something.
awesome explosive moves from blue once
All right.
they figure out their distance and how to work with their height to get
Allure,
those,
we wait.
hits in.
Some of the best longsword fencers I know competitively in A tiers, people have bested me many times, are much shorter. And I'm 6'2",
so simply
but
recalled.
fencers who are like 5'5", 5'4".
That's
We're
how the
very
confusion
good.
could get resolved, I
Very
suppose.
good understanding
All
of
right.
distance and a very agile and sort of know how to give cuts at odd angles,
All right, who's the
rising
other
cuts,
team?
and can draw in the taller fencer and then really punish them for it. And I think that as much as height is an advantage, it is something that can be overcome with a good way to manage distance. And I think that forward movement that blue was trying, if blue could have continued, I think that would have worked out.
I got
much
him on
better
the
for blue
refence.
fencers.
I completely agree.
But of course, that is one of the hardest things to sort of learn, because your brain is screaming at you. You're getting into the danger zone. You're getting into the distance. But it's just one of those things that with
Ready,
enough
fencer.
reps, somebody can overcome.
Ready.
Now we've got sword and dagger here. Now gold fencer has got
Fence.
the saber.
Halt. Point blue, insufficient travel from the cut. It has to be 90 degrees in this. Ready.
Now, blue
Fence.
fencer able to parry with a dagger, come in with a thrust to what looked like it would have been probably the upper arm.
Halt.
Ooh,
Yes, but
a nice
where do you see it
extension,
arrive?
a void of
Yeah, I think
level
right here.
change,
All
the
right.
void there. Now, blue fencer's
Point
got
blue.
quite a nice void.
Ready.
That's something that gold should be on
Fence.
the lookout for. I think gold wants to cut,
Halt.
and that is to
Point
gold's
blue.
peril.
That's match. Blue.
Blue had some beautiful thrusts that entire match. That was really, really wonderful to see.
Now, I know that gold came out with a saber, but do you think, in your opinion, that had
Fix the sword,
regardless of
Gold.
whether gold had picked a rapier or a saber, that had in that last pass gold been a more point forward guard, would have been more protected, more defended from that gliding thrust in?
Well, yeah, I feel like a point forward guard does get in the way of that gliding thrust.
That one was
far
tricky because
more
one of the
than
strikes
a different
was
guard. So I would
barely
definitely say
touching.
that gold could have benefited from getting that
But
kind of tighter
that
parry
is the
in
SCA
from the center
style,
line.
and it-
Protecting that center line is something that's very hard. It's something, honestly, I tend to struggle
End it
with
like it.
in HEMA, and that is to my detriment, and it seems to have been to gold's detriment in this match.
Certainly. I think in sword
you
and
on my
dagger especially, the
right.
center line is so important because it is so difficult to defend between the weapons. And I think
know.
gold, looking
also
for
what
a
a
cut,
kind
maybe to a shallow target,
Notice from an
had
experienced deadlift
his
master.
point upwards to chamber that, and that left him too vulnerable. I think that that
Yeah,
that
and I'm
kind of
sure he will.
position for the sword should be a step further back. Gold is a nice lunge and could have certainly hit as blue did.
Yeah, that's right.
Blue certainly
That's right.
could hit
That's
from
right.
that measure, and that's something that gold should have been aware of and
Yeah,
should have maybe
yeah.
initiated the cut a step earlier, or just changed into a point forward guard to be able to defend.
Oh my.
That's one of the interesting things about allowing
Yeah, I know, man.
the saber, certain sabers.
Well,
there's some gear restrictions.
I can't sit your kid, but
into the sword and dagger
but you,
event
maybe Anya.
is that it encourages a couple different kinds of
You don't have to
actions
babysit his
because of the
kid.
way the grips are. But I
So he
do
can fence
wonder
more.
if it's sort of a trap. If certain
maybe
people,
babysit his
maybe
three
because
kids so
they
that he can
have a
fence.
saber, they're sort of encouraged to cut maybe where, in fact, even with a saber, instead of a rapier, the correct thing might be to thrust.
Yeah, absolutely. And once again, that
Oh,
90
fire.
degrees of travel takes a substantial amount of time. As we saw, we have run this tournament a couple of times, like
I have
trial
never run
run
that.
it, and we've
Yeah.
seen
Have you?
people attempt to do
Yeah.
that cut, and unfortunately
That's right.
not succeed because the tempo that it takes to set it up is just
Oh,
quick
that's
enough to
really
get
hard.
a thrust in. Thrusting is absolutely, I think, encouraged in this rule set, and especially once again with that 90 degrees of travel, you are going to
Oh,
need
and
to
get 'em.
have. You need to first have a.
How many
before
points
you
is that
can
worth
take
in this
it.
tournament?
You cannot create that.
Fascinatingly, one.
And there are a number of one-handed sword texts that sort of explicitly call for
Yeah.
cuts to
Okay,
be
saber for
done
the
with
whole
only
life.
a full moulinet,
Every week
a full
so.
rotation. I mean, not all, obviously, but some do.
Nice to see
And I think it sort of
Horse Tooth staff.
begs the question of distance, right? and certainly a lot of them go through the distance. And I think in this sort of scenario, especially with the sword and dagger, that the cut is quite risky, and that the cut really should be something that's sort of done as a provocation. But we'll see. I think also it can be done with as a riposte, and I think the sabers, as we run a lot of practice bouts, the sabers tend to be the most successful
but that's not what the
landing cuts as ripostes rather than as initial actions. As initial actions are very risky. I mean, you're sometimes able to get a cheeky one off.
I hope the chat is enjoying or enduring the play-by-play of all of my little conversations.
By the hilt was very risky and was often punished. And I think that that's sort of something that the folks using sabers have to keep an eye out for, is that they're cutting when they have the tempo to do so as a riposte, or
you can definitely hear me when I speak.
Provocation.
Yeah, I think so. Answer your voice.
So I believe we're getting to the stage where a number of teams have been eliminated. As a reminder, the scoring system works at for each lost bout, a person loses 1 hit point.
Die.
The teams have 3 people, and each person has 3 hit points, so the team has a total of 9 hit points. They're not distributable. They're not shareable. Although, of course, strategically, if you can, maybe you could put in a fencer who has more hit points than less, if you so desired. I believe we're going to have longsword again, and it looks like this will be a fratricidal pool. Both
Are you ready, fencer?
Are Boston Armizare fencers.
Are you ready, fencer? Rest of the gear good? All right. Ready. Fence!
Point forward guards from both. Attempted cut low, but it's retracted. Another cut to the hands from blue this time.
Halt!
Now that time it
insufficient travel.
Yep.
Hold called early. We're going to refight the pass. Ready. Fence.
Not enough travel from gold. Now for 45 degrees from that position, it's going to require you to be very close to the floor with the tip.
Hold.
And we'll see if that had enough.
All right, so that's not 45 degrees travel from below to above. And in fact, what happens is cocked high, then it goes low, then it comes up. So I think that actually is. All right. So that's borderline. The travel goes down, then back up. I don't think that counts. I'd like to see it from 45 degrees direct. No pass, no scoring action. We'll continue. Ready.
Now the cuts to the hands are very, very lucrative, but you have to have enough travel.
Halt! Yeah, and that is in tempo.
So the question is, do gold's thrust land?
Because there's no cock.
Is blue's riposte or afterblow out of tempo?
There's no reaching.
Tempo rules are essentially that the blows have to occur in the same tempo. Points are not awarded.
So the thrust is first, but there's no chamber before the action, so that's a double. Ready.
Yep, so they're calling blue's action in the same tempo.
Halt.
Looking like
inconclusive
control and wrestling to blue.
Yeah,
point blue.
No, conclusive to blue.
Ready.
In this rule set, in wrestling, indications are preferred. And we're going to be somewhat generous with the indications because obviously the best technique you could do if you've got a wrestling tempo is to cross-guard punch somebody in the face from a martial perspective, but that's obviously not safe. And so what we look for is indication and control.
So point arrives.
As sort of the leading thing.
Yeah. No.
Now that one got a little dangerous. Gold thrust got a little dangerously close to blue.
Point gold. That's a there were 2 passes at the beginning where the quality of the cut was instant travel. Twice. Right.
So just some confusion.
So that's a point gold. That means that the match ends in a tie, which means both fencers lose a life.
Oh, and also how both fencers lose their lives.
Unlucky though.
Tie.
And so in some sense, it really sort of it's tough.
Frankly, that was incredibly unlucky.
There are certainly many things that tournaments do to try to avoid those doubles and punish those doubles. It's a difficult thing to encourage, I would certainly say. And this, a double is the same as a loss.
Yeah, of course, in tomorrow for beginners and for B tier and A tier, there will be a priority system for doubles.
Hey, chat.
But for the teams, just
I hope
to keep
everyone
it
is
quick, to keep
enjoying the footage
you know,
tonight. We just had a
moving,
nice match of long. Boston
and to sort of
best.
consciously encourage the fencers to
Okay.
fence at a sort of
Ready.
lower degree of competitiveness, because this is
Ready.
like a more relaxed event. We decided
Fence.
to not use the priority for teams after a lot of testing that we did.
Halt!
Both fences are getting tangled up here, but I believe Gold is
So
able to
the
get a
initial
thrust
attack
in.
is passe, upon which hold is called. The follow-up attack with the dagger is not passe and is gold blue. It starts before. So we see the initial thrust from gold to blue as passe. We see the follow-up with the dagger as good. We see nothing back from blue. Point gold. Ready. Fence.
Gold's being a little more aggressive.
Halt. Halt.
Now we'll see if any of these cuts are judges'
So I see
quality. The
chambering.
daggers were up,
and
so
then a
if
cut from
those
blue.
cuts slid off the daggers, they're not going
But I
to
think
be
it-
judges' quality. One of the things that we were
Oh,
trying to do in
and it's
terms
got
of
a good
judging is to be stricter about
Point
blows
blue.
that first hit, but I think they're calling that he managed to hit the head
Ready.
before the dagger.
Fence.
Gold with weapons unjoined.
Halt. All right. So, what do you see?
So I think blue feints a thrust, gets gold to bite, and it looks like
No, it goes
blue
to
cuts low.
here, and it's
To me, it looked like the
starting
calf, but if that was in fact the side of the knee,
before after. gold.
that could be a foul.
And
or at
I
least
couldn't
a
see whether
penalty
they hit.
counted.
From gold. I couldn't see it. That's why we have two. All right. So we see double. We see thrust arrive from gold to blue's body. We see the cut not chambered too late. It's coming around as that action is happening. Double. And
So
since
the
that's a
cut
tie,
lands on
I
the
believe. Yeah. Right. That was action. All right.
Check with Mike.
I'm not. I can't trust you, but I will hear you. All right. One moment. We're checking the rule.
We have a rules question.
Hey.
And as we can see, the tournament is continuing to seemingly kind of wind down almost as more and more fencers are unable
Hey,
to
Judge.
continue fencing and run
So
out of HP.
we understand the rules for tomorrow, but
So, of course,
today
one of
is
the
their
interesting
priority
things
for the better
about-
action.
About teams is
A
sort
double
of
is
who gets eliminated on what team first.
Coach is correct. Well, tomorrow there is priority for the better action. Today there is not. So that is a double. Hold upheld. So 1 point off of each. One HP off of each. It's strange that hadn't come up yet.
Yeah. So again, for the teams event, we're not using the priority. But for tomorrow, in not only as far as I'm aware,
Ready, fencer?
every single event tomorrow
Ready,
and on
fencer.
Sunday,
Oh, well.
long sword, sword and
Soon.
dagger, and small sword will have their own priority rules. But for teams, we decided
Ready,
not to
fence.
have 3 different priority rule sets at the same time. Blue trying for the hands.
Halt.
Now does blue void that?
Clean point, blue.
Yes.
Look at that.
Ready.
Blue gets in under
Fence.
that thrust. Blue applying pressure.
Halt. So, what do you see on blue's initial thrust?
So we'll see what they call here. It's hard to tell if those thrusts connected or not from our distance.
That is not passe then. Yeah.
It was
Oh my. Wow. No, it was not.
I believe we have a problem with the sword.
It's
All right,
looking like there's a gear malfunction. If I was seeing that right.
So
I
I'm going to
think
make the
the
call
map
so that we're
is
not waiting on the call.
But I could be
No,
wrong.
I think
actually.
there's a
Call
big
is Blue's
set.
initial thrust
Oh,
good,
is it a set? Okay.
and then after blow is out of tempo.
Left hand. I'm
Or something wrong with the hill.
Right hand.
I don't know.
Sounds good.
I'm
Oh, take
seeing
your
that
time.
now.
We got time. Call is point blue.
Some attempted sword recovery there.
Foot, please. And you too, actually.
Gold has to be careful.
it has to
there,
be
not
behind the
allow,
line.
Blue
No,
to avoid
no,
like that.
I'll explain just once. Your foot has to be behind the line. If it's touching the line, it's too far. Okay. Yep.
So that's something to point
Ready.
out is that
Fence.
we're asking the fencers to start behind the line. But we're not going to penalize people for putting their toe over. Blue with many beats. Targeting the foot. The foot is on target in small sword.
And you can see that
Oh!
Olympic style.
Oh!
Gold's arrives as well.
Look at that. Wow.
The Gerada does not work
Double.
there.
Match blue.
What a gorgeous pass.
Yeah. I think Blue got a little
What a match, though.
overconfident there, and Gold was able to very nicely readjust the aim
Good hunting from Gold there. I
on
felt.
his thrust and make a nice double there.
So we just had our
Rarely
a
are
nice
doubles
blade break
nice,
here,
but
chat.
certainly when your opponent Geradas, regardless of what they do to you, when you can stick them in the neck, that's nice in my book.
Yeah, that was regardless of the score, that was a beautiful pass to get to see.
Yeah, as fun as the Gerada is, it is risky.
So we put them both quieter.
They're saying hello from how the chat is behaving. Nicely. Acceptable.
Yeah, so again, as everything's winding down,
Is he up? Am I right?
As more people get eliminated, expect things to sort of slow down.
Okay. Yeah.
So one thing that's worth pointing out
Man, that's
is
terrifying.
that the way that we're sort of calling the holds is that, and this is, I believe, noted in the rules, is that the director will see a scoring action and then will give a very long hold. And the expectation is that that will encompass the entirety of the tempo of the action and will give the fencers a long enough period of time to complete an action they have initiated before the hold or in tempo. And we're going by what's in tempo to scoring, not for the hold. But we're trying to keep it long as a way for the fencers to sort of be cognizant of
You guys can
that
have a sec if you want.
audibly. I think we're up for another bout of longsword.
We spoke once about how there wasn't a ton of longsword, and now ask and we shall receive.
Exactly. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that is a Siggy concept. A very
let me
nice
take a
sword.
Look at that.
And as a reminder, this wonderful tournament is sponsored by the excellent Siggy
I can't do
Armory.
any. Can someone do something about it, though? Can we ask RJ? RJ. Can you turn down my volume? Down. Thanks.
Turn his down if you want to turn his down. It's right there.
Oh,
All right, you almost ready? All right, yep. All right.
I guess I can turn up the volume. People watching the stream.
Oh, okay. To my ear, he's
Nice.
loud. Well, it just said he was louder. Well, I can tell
Ready? Ready. Fence. Called.
Now we'll see what the timing is. Now,
That's an
from our slow motion,
So we have a
looks
cut
like
to the
blue
arms.
is
and a
right
cut
on
to
the
head.
edge.
What did you think about Dustin?
But I don't want
Chambering.
to make a judgment because obviously the directors do not have the benefit of slow motion. Blue is certainly chambered at the moment of contact, and it looks like he's
I mean the other
started to
direction.
move forward,
I mean,
but
was that
only
an
just
afterthought?
barely. So we'll see what the director and the judge say. Certainly, I think blue did make an error in raising their sword and on allowing gold to move forward in that way.
I think it
and
was
responding a
being
little
chambered
late.
as the hit. I think it is in time. All right. So we see that as a double. There is a chambering action from blue. However, the chambering action happens at around the same time as the cut, and then it comes in. So that's
the,
a double.
The call is that
Ready.
that blue chambered
Fence.
the action before gold was completed. Points are forward, but
Halt.
ooh, the points are
So
forward. but they're going
that's
for cut.
hit blue.
But that's
with
quite
the
nice from blue.
Turnaround.
The cut
That's a
is
chambering
parried.
action that
He
happens
gets a
after
nice
time.
sort of changes the line for a nice cut to the hands. We're seeing a lot of high parries, which is understandable, but we're also conversely seeing a lot of cuts
That was not my
to
observation.
the arm.
All right. Ready. Fence. Halt. That's
They're being
point
much more
gold.
aggressive.
Wait.
The question is gold's edge line,
There's also a jump. The jump as well.
and whether gold
Because it's a-
leaped.
That is a
Now,
penalty.
whether if gold had both feet in the air at the same time, that will be a technical foul, I believe.
believe that is true, yeah.
So gold, with you charging in that manner, jump. We're going to give you a yellow card. That is excessive force, and that means that you cannot score, even though you did score in that pass. That gives the match to blue.
Yeah. So the call is that it was a leaping attack, which are explicitly banned in the rules. You've really got to be quite careful when using explosive footwork, when hopping, to keep one foot on the ground at all times. That's what we're sort of asking of our fencers. Now, in that one, certainly, gold's blow was not in and of itself super hard, but the rule is very strict because oftentimes some of the worst blows that I and other people here have seen in HEMA have been based on leaping attacks, and so we've been very strict on it. I can think of a lot of terrible,
I hope the
blows
footage
to people's heads.
shows that did in fact happen.
I've been hit with, or that other people have. That's something to be cognizant of for our fencers.
Yeah, a leaping attack is definitely a dangerous thing, and it also is very difficult because judges tend to be watching the sword. It is a lot harder if there is something like a flash. It's hard to tell if both feet leave the ground.
Chad, is my
there's definitely
volume
that
better,
kind of
or is it still too loud?
difficulty there? It adds another layer of difficulty to the judges. But of course, like, safety is super priority, and it's best to be calling those as often as you see them.
Now, I once in a longsword tournament, fencing a literal child. I was not in charge of organizing that event, so that is not my fault. Had this child leap, cut me in the side of the head so hard that my mask was completely knocked off, and I was just standing there with a sword on my neck and no head
Now we're in
protection,
the final days.
and the beginnings of a headache.
Oh goodness,
And
that is
that-
a terrifying
And
situation.
I will estimate that child weighed less than
Yes.
my golden retriever at home. So that goes to show you what a real leaping attack can do. But yeah, so I think that's sort of one of the things that people have to be aware of. Certainly in drilling and in past years, I myself have fallen victim to that rule.
And close.
I additionally
so?
have, in fact, I have been carded for leaping attacks
was hard for me
before
to
too, as well. It's
perfectly replay.
difficult to,
But I did feel that it
especially
was charge regardless.
those explosive footwork can so easily be confused for leaping attacks, and it's important to remain safe in all that you do with footwork. There's such a fine line between controlled, safe, explosive attacks and unsafe explosive footwork, and it's super important that we continue to get judges carding that and calling it out when it happens.
Yeah, it's whichever team is against the one. Whichever team.
Yeah, I don't. So, I think what we're at now is we've got one ring active. That indicates to me that we've really sort of whittled down the number of people, the number of teams. I assume that at this point some teams are completely out.
I'll ask later about whether that was actually
I'm
the
seeing
strong.
very few fencers with those like bits of tape on their arm indicating hit points.
Yeah, it was the first action. Well, I think the strong is.
So apologies if our microphones are a little quiet. We're
Bottom.
trying to speak up.
it's
For
about halfway.
tomorrow, we're going to fiddle with the technology a little bit and see if we can get the microphones a little louder, get everything a little more balanced. Now, what event are you most excited for tomorrow and Sunday?
Oh, now is that to commentate or is that
Who's your
to
team?
watch or
Well,
is
I
that to
think
participate
in general, it depends. I mean, if you're really not eager to participate,
There's a lot of.
that's an issue. But either way.
Well, I'm certainly excited to see some A-tier fencing and see those A-tier fencers out there and competing. I am always happy to watch an A-tier event. I like to see that. I like to, incorporate those styles into my own fencing.
Matt's on fire
And
today.
I myself, I am always most excited for the Gen Ec event coming
be on
up.
fire as
I
well,
love to
like-
compete in a good Gen Ec event. That is, I'm sure many of us know what Gen Ec is, but there's a whole lot of terms floating around. So just to define it real quick.
we've got MG, we have Gen Ec,
URG.
we've seen URG, ERG, that's a
ABCD.
classic.
ERG is a classic, and I
Classic.
think in New England there's been a move away from URG as
People
the
didn't like
term.
how it sounded.
It does kind of sound like you're disgruntled. I know I would certainly tell my non-HEMA friends about my ERG events, and they would not really know what I was
Right,
saying.
then let's
Of course, a good Gen Ec event or
tell the world
MG
how you feel
event
about not having
should leave
died yet.
one entirely
died yet.
gruntled and not
Feels pretty
disgruntled.
good about it.
And that's what I think will
All right.
happen this weekend. I think we've got some very,
But
very
has he
good
met his
fencers
match?
who have signed
Yeah.
up. And,
Fencers, are you ready?
I'm very much looking forward to seeing.
Ready?
We've got some
Ready?
more long circuit.
Fence!
What's interesting is that Blue Fencer has all of his lives. Although one of those
Look
pieces
at
of tape
that.
is hanging off precariously.
Oh!
Now it looks like we got
gold's hit.
matching
Oh,
works
it's the
there. My apologies. I think the first two are
Happens.
just cross guards tangled up, and then I believe we'll see what they call for the second pair of Zwerks.
Or you're not.
But it's interesting. I wonder if
All right.
both of these fencers, knowing that each other,
Hit from gold,
that they
hit to the
like
hands over the
Zwerks.
top. We don't see anything from blue.
Okay.
Ready. Fence.
So it's point gold. I wonder if one will try something at a little different distance.
Halt!
Gold fencer trying to come in
hit
with,
blue.
with a thrust.
Not enough
but does
travel
not
on the
have
cut
position
to the
land it.
hands
It's
from
offset,
gold.
and blue hits with the riposte.
Ready. Fence.
This will decide the match. Blue tapping a lot. Must be careful for a disengage from blue.
Halt, 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 halt.
Looks like a
I think-
Safety
safety
hold.
hold for
Yeah,
that tape
they're-
that
they're-
fell off.
Yeah, there's not enough travel. Piece of tape fell off. Both fencers kind of hesitated.
I know how to do it.
Now, gold fencer has to be
don't
really
think it was
careful there.
I'd stand by
Consistently
mine.
tapping and applying
Oh, no,
pressure
no.
on the sword could well generate a disengage and thrust,
Ready.
disengagement,
Fence.
and we'll see if blue capitalizes. Another beat there. Another tap.
Halt. Point blue.
Beautiful.
That's match.
Beautiful
Blue.
parry.
Yeah, that was a very nice parry and work from Blue Fencer. I think Gold was really trying to generate something
post.
with those taps, but Blue was
Love to see
not
it.
biting.
We love to see it, chat.
We have seen today a
That was a
whole
nice match.
lot of Zwerkhaus in our longsword tournaments. That is such, I mean, such an impressive and good
But the real
move
question
to be
is,
using,
which Knight
for
Radiant is it?
sure, especially when that distance gets closed up like that.
Hey, I'm
Yeah,
also
so
mic'd up,
I
bud.
think it'll be interesting to see to what extent that carries. If that's just bias from our small sample size,
Right.
or if that carries through into B tier, A tier, and Gen Ec. A tier will certainly be interesting.
I
I
don't
hope
feel
to be commentating for that, but we'll see how the schedule works out.
Thank you.
Certainly. Seems like many of the commentators are excited. Of course, everyone's buzzing for A tier.
Yeah. Last year, A tier was very fun. That year, I did fence in it, and we had a lot of very excellent fencers.
I needed to look one
from
more
a lot of
time.
very different clubs,
I needed to look one more time.
and we got to see a real sort
they're
of
all kind of
variety of
surprisingly-
metas collide in a way that was very fun. That's one of the things that you always really like to see in an A tier.
That's right. That's
There's
true.
people
That one's
from
obvious.
different countries, different states, provinces, etc. Who have very well. Each of
okay.
them might have their own very well defined meta, and then come and sort of
Yeah,
encounter
we're
something
certainly near
different
time
and
is it?
see how they adapt.
And that's
Will we
certainly
end
the
on
fun of
time?
those bigger
That would be
tournaments,
crazy.
seeing what holds up.
Odd. Oh. Well, you could, and then delete me.
Yeah, return.
Now, what one would normally expect to
Possible I
see
could stop.
from a
I
lot
just
of
have to do it.
from a Boston Armizare
Fast.
event, which has a lot of Boston Armizare fencers in, is a lot of thrusting. That's certainly sort of what our meta is known for. But today, there's a lot more.
I guess I'll
Zwerks,
say head
which is
judge,
interesting, but
though-
not entirely unexpected, but certainly interesting.
What do you think,
Despite
Chad?
the name of the club, not
So-
all we don't restrict
So we're
what
quite loud.
fencers can
That's
learn, what sources they
quite
could
loud.
use, what techniques they can
And
use,
also
or
quite
anything.
loud.
And so we have a number of fencers who study a variety of different longsword and other sources. For example, here we have Tall Nick over there, who primarily
true.
studies KDF and, to my recollection, RDL, I think.
I believe so. I mean, he
of
started off.
Zwerks.
Yeah, he started off
Oh,
over at Western
sometimes.
Swordsmanship Technique and Research with us. And that is a KDF club. That is a club that primarily
Yeah.
deals with German
Let's create some
longsword
dramedy.
techniques. Before migrating
Some
over
good-
to Boston Armizare with
What do you
a
think about that?
mostly like
Chad?
predominantly Italian techniques, although
Certainly,
Yeah.
certainly.
Please drop those donuts in the chat.
And we did have, unfortunately, you can't be here today. We do have a German John who's not from Germany,
yes.
but does fence
Probably.
KDF. That's why we call him German John. He's very good. I believe last year in A tier he got silver.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I saw him
Tied for first?
hit and farm to the lead cut in one of his
He lost the tiebreaker.
devastating.
But unfortunately, he couldn't. He's not going to be here. Maybe he'll be here later in the weekend. I'm not sure. But he's a very good, very experienced fencer. And Nick, of course, always fun to see
Fact,
fence.
I heard about that.
He's like 70
felt
feet
that it
tall.
was,
He can really hit you from below the
Well,
ground or from like perpendicular to the ground. So you got to really be
Yeah, if you just-
aware,
for a moment.
that there could that could be
Sleep
coming
for
from
one
anywhere.
moment. Oh.
He could
No, no,
probably
you're not
hit you
allowed
from
to sleep.
behind, reach over and around and sort of like clip you. So you got to be careful.
Frankly, we're probably in his measure right now. It is
Most certainly. I think if we allowed the leaping blow, he could
We would
be
be in it.
here in maybe 2 steps.
Yeah,
How many?
certainly.
Give him a Siggy XL,
A lot.
maybe even 1 step.
Now, were there any events in particular you were excited to
Right, so-
witness?
I am very excited for A
That's so
tier.
funny.
Certainly.
I'm not
Great
under the
choice.
pressure of competing,
also,
so I get to relax. I might even wear
That's the-
normal
okay.
clothes,
I
depending
also
on what my job is. But it should be rather fun.
now chat knows all about that.
Yeah, the last time I
Pinky
got to
fish?
watch an A tier, that was a while ago, and so I'm really excited.
Yeah. I'm also excited that
but you
this
gotta come
event
well,
has a small sword division.
Actually,
Not a
does,
lot
yeah.
of local HEMA tournaments around here have that. There's Brass Frog, which has it, but I, off the top of my head right now, cannot think of too
I think
many
that's it.
others.
I think
Boston
that's it.
HEMA League
DM
has certainly
Nick.
done a a small sword division. But
For
locally
those-
in New England, yeah.
For those unaware, as of I believe about this time last year or
There's actually
so,
an
Just about, yeah.
have you
we
guys ever
started a
heard
couple
of,
local
the
fencers
Boston
from a variety
League,
of clubs.
run by these two
Put together
gentlemen.
the Boston HEMA League
run by
to
these
put
two gentlemen.
intramural events.
Mostly Nick.
To put
was
intramural
around
events
at the
up
beginning.
that cover a variety of weapons.
I'm the one talking.
And then at lower pressure, one-day events. Nothing too committed. You don't have to fly.
right.
I mean, if somebody did want to come from far away, they would have to fly and get a hotel. But something that is not such a commitment where you have to take a Friday
Please
off. or
don't make
anything,
jokes
at least for
about me.
locals. So keep people sharp and competitive. Something that I
that's
think
true.
we're admittedly
Maybe someone else should take
copying
over.
from the Philly region, where they have a lot of
Alright.
intramurals, and they've produced a lot of excellent
good.
fencers, very sharp. Some of whom we got to see already today, and I'm sure we'll see more of in Gen Ec, in B tier, in A tier, and in non-longsword events too.
And that intramural environment is really wonderful for newer fencers who are intimidated by that sort of competition, competitive setting.
Exactly. Now we've got
We've got-
Nick himself right here, so maybe we'll ask him a quick question.
Dustino?
What was the primary
Owen?
motivating factor in wanting to organize the Boston HEMA League?
After Boar's Tooth last.
Closer and louder.
Wow. Okay. Is this loud enough?
No.
Are you fucking with me?
No, Mike should be closer to your
Oh.
face.
Like just holding it on my mouth
There
and
you
being
go.
loud. This
That's
feels
almost
so
good
weird.
enough.
Yeah. The primary motivation from last year, after Boar's Tooth, Derek and I were having a conversation, and it was like, oh, it would be fun if we could do this every month. And that's a lot of work. So we are doing smaller monthly events that are very cheap and meant to
That's
be
my
as
judge.
accessible as possible for everyone involved. It is also a training opportunity if you want to practice judging, directing, or tabling. It's been going pretty well so far. We're hoping to run 11 events next year, including an end-of-year open, although that's still in the planning stages.
Got-
So yeah, we'll
got
see what
Steve.
happens with that. More news to come.
And pray tell, what is the next one, and what day is it?
The next one, we haven't picked a day yet. It will be sometime in early to mid-October. We're changing things up a little bit. We're going to have a saber tournament, and then we are going to be splitting kind of our second block between a
Causing a hold
Fiore
in the
sword
technical
in one hand seminar, and then sort of like fencing evolution run by Ian Davis, who is an accomplished Fiore interpreter and generally all around good fencer. And also a like mini judging and directing seminar. So we're really excited for that. More details to come soon.
Yeah, thank you, Nick.
All right.
So far behind. Like 20 minutes.
So I've just been made aware that y'all are like 20 minutes behind us.
Ready, fencer?
Is the audio coming in
Ready, fencer?
now?
No,
So, okay,
no.
okay, okay.
The audio is synced up. They'd be
Awesome.
able to
I
tell
was
us.
scared. I was scared.
All right, we've got small sword here, fratricidal.
Hold!
Ooh,
Drive.
blue there with what looks like a flesh and maybe a void of the body.
Not out of tempo.
And that's in blue. We have
All right.
Steve Messeroni, as you can read from the back of his jacket. One of the
Point
instructors
blue.
here at Boston
We see
Guitar.
the thrust is passe.
And at gold, we've got R.J. Bacon,
Ready. Fence.
who you might have seen messing around with our computer and otherwise breathing air
We have
and contributing little else. I kid.
A lot of
Ready.
RJ tension in these parts.
He's specifically requested that we be mean to him. I don't want to pry, but I'll accede to his request.
Point blue.
But he can give it out as well as he takes it. He's from Jersey, you know. They
Point blue.
got a thick skin down there.
Ready. Fence. Halt.
Oh, wow.
Another attempt at Gerardo.
No, I think I
And once
don't
again,
like.
punished, unfortunately.
I think so. I think
Looking
that
like it, at least, yeah.
yeah.
Um,
From our
point
perspective, it
gold.
sort of looks like
match
that.
blue.
Yeah, it looks like that lands and then slides off after making solid contact.
Okay.
So that's going to be point gold. and the match. Did Gold Fencer win that?
Honestly, I'm
And
not
I wonder
100% certain. That last
also,
point was to
what did you
Gold.
think about that
I
last
talked
hit
over
towards
Derek,
you?
and now I don't know. Derek is our director. If so, the student,
because it's skipped off.
well, the student doesn't quite become
it
the
was
master.
it was a passe.
The student certainly
Right, no,
gets
no, I
one
know.
up on that.
Oh no, it's all good.
So
It was
I believe
close,
we're getting
though.
much closer
Just
to
a little more
the
angle or a
finals
little
now,
less profile from Gold. And
which should mean that more of the belts will be happening in this ring and not in other random
I was
rings.
like watching everybody.
Yeah, this streamed ring will, of course, be the one where finals are occurring for all events. Making sure to have coverage of that. While there are pools, there's, of course, four rings, which makes it difficult to have complete coverage of all of that. But we will ensure
good,
that
though.
finals will be here.
not to me.
I think we're gonna get
table.
our other weapon going on, and I believe it will be longsword.
All right, sounds good.
Blue.
Thanks, Colin. Hey. Ready. 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 Fence. Yeah, that's what I thought. But it was your
Interesting.
point blue.
That's all I got to say. Okay, so blue's hit does
Ready.
get through.
Fence.
Hard to see from our angle.
Halt.
Ooh.
Ah.
It's a nice
No.
nice little beat, and then explosive thrust into
So
blue.
the thrust almost arrives, but we think it's passe. It's
Oh.
not normal
It
to the
did
target.
look like it
No
might have
pass.
perhaps kind
Will
of
we
Yeah.
fight?
landed on the shoulder as opposed
Ready.
to point
Fence.
planting
So
that tip.
that was on the director's side. So that was good. It was easier
Halt.
for him to see than us.
right,
Explosive
so-
entry. Going through a committed cut, but
No,
blue
there is,
retreated
but
out of measure. And then what could be a double. We'll see what the ruling is.
from blue.
A blue. I'm not.
All right.
As a reminder,
right, then I'm gonna go with my call.
for teams, there is no priority.
Do we see gold's cut good? We see blue's cut with the flat. So point gold.
Double's a double.
Ready. Fence. Halt.
Now that was explosive.
All right.
The thrust came in from Blue Fencer, and
I think so too, but,
got
how
caught
do you
up
feel
under
about
the
these?
mask covering there?
So it's from both fencers closing
So the question
adequately.
is,
I
did Blue
find
manage
no
to cover
fault.
Gold's blow on the cross guard? I really couldn't tell because there's a body in the way.
While that was a very intense hit, it is because both fencers jumped in at the same time. So I'm not awarding a card for intensity. Point blue, match blue.
Makes sense. It does look like
Yep.
Gold's wound up being parried.
Yep. And if you couldn't hear, Derek did not award a card, but did specify that
And
both fencers
Eric
came in
has
very
asked
hard.
that if you could indicate
And that,
what action is
Had
happening
one person come
to
in
him behind
at that same intensity
with your
into the
hand
other person,
by
that
going
could have
like
resulted
this.
in a card.
The point four. Point four this side. Yeah. Or both up if.
I was really expecting to see more sort of
Oh, that's
flicking
fine.
thrusts
Any
in small
indication of what
sword,
side it is.
but it seems like we're only getting it
But
in
my voice-
longsword today. Now, I in epee was certainly never really able to
I just-
master that particular blow.
I just told Colin to.
But in small sword, I think in the testing, I've seen that a couple of times. But kind of disappointed. I really like to. It looks fun. It's fancy. So hopefully, if we have another small sword bout, we'll get to see a couple more flicks.
Especially, hopefully, in that small sword tournament we've got this weekend.
Oh, in the tournament, I certainly
That
think
will-
we will.
Between all of the, all the fencers there, that is going to be something that
Yeah,
I
Mad with
think
Power.
is a very tactical
If I was
move
in an
and
anime,
something that
I'd
will
be
be getting a lot
shimmering
of points.
Rainbow
Hopefully
right
we'll get to
before
see it.
right before I launch.
Now, I am definitely
Certainly
curious
not
as
10
to
and a
how
half
many
hours.
people are still in this tournament at this point. I am not seeing a whole lot of tape on people's arms. So
I agree. I'd like to get some sort of update from people, but they seem to be too busy.
I can ask.
All right, and we've sent off Derek Wise to go get us some intel.
Dr. Wise to us. That's not a joke, by the way. He really does have a doctorate.
Yeah.
And I think physics.
Congrats to him. It's something like that.
It's something-
It's something else.
something I don't
STEMmy
understand.
and sciencey.
He tried to explain what he was. It might be like some sort of chemistry.
5, he's saying, looking like
We have
he's
5 people
5.
left.
Low surety. 5 was my answer.
So we have 5, or judging by his hand, 1 turkey. Yeah, but he's got. I don't know. He does numbers or symbols or something. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
I went to school for history.
As did I.
If it's a number and it's not addition or subtraction of dates,
Welcome to the ring.
then that's
May you
above
fence
my pay
beautifully
grade.
so that I don't have to judge
and
you.
I have an AI do it for me, or I just guess.
I'm the same here. I am an archaeologist by trade. Numbers certainly are not my strong suit.
So at some point you'll have to.
Oh, RJ,
Sorry.
are you out? He says yes. Not surprising.
Because Steve's team busted.
We thought he beat Steve, but he didn't.
You got what you're
He says that he thought he had him for a minute. Sheer hubris.
All right.
I thought it was.
The final one, the Girata.
Spencer, are you ready?
Well, that wasn't the
Ready. Fence.
And we're back with some rapier and dagger here. I think this could be another BA versus BA.
I believe it's.
Gold.
Yeah, BA. Yeah, that's BA
Point
versus
gold.
BA. It's Matt and Jacob.
Is-
Ready.
Actually, that might not
Hold.
be.
What? Thank you, Fencer. Ready. Fence.
Well, unfortunately, I don't know who Blue Fencer is, but I wish them all the luck. As I do to gold, obviously. Blue's moving quick. There's a lot of ground to cover. There's a significant distance in measure. Now, it looks like gold comes in with
So
a
what do you
high
see from blue?
low. I think that hits the calf.
Yeah. And how confident are you about the amount of travel that had? Was it actually 90? It has to be 90. I think so, but I think it's point gold.
So they're calling the cut good
Ready.
to the calf.
Fence. Hold. Hold. Hold's called an error. No pass. We're going to refight
so
the
that,
pass.
That thrust was a little short.
Ready?
And they're not awarding points.
Fence.
They're going to defense the pass.
Hold.
Ooh.
Blues passe.
No,
Yeah,
I
blues is
think that's the point.
passe, and gold manages to get
I
in
think he
there.
hits him.
But we'll see. We'll see what the call is.
Point blue. Match gold.
Never mind.
Perhaps Blues was not passe.
What?
Oh yeah, it's not Jacob.
What are you talking about? Yeah, he lost. Oh, he lost the pass, but he won. RJ's spouting some more nonsense. I'm sorry. We'll have to. Tomorrow we'll do a better job keeping him off the stream. We'll chain him up somewhere.
RJ is not spouting nonsense. RJ is cheering for his team, the best team, Team Castile, led by Declan Maloney,
He won
who we
hungry.
just saw Matt win in that match as part of my team.
Anyone hungry?
And we are onwards and upwards here with Team Castile.
How many people do you have left?
It's
Two
gonna
two
end
members are
soon.
left. So both Declan and Matt are left.
So you're saying that you, RJ, were the dead weight,
The
the weakest link in the chain.
I prefer to think of it as being the moral support and the mascot of the team than being dead weight per se. But yeah, I was certainly not pretty helpful.
Well, whatever helps you
I
sleep
did-
at night.
I did do what I needed to do, though, and I died to Steve. So when we had to fight against Steve Mascheroni, who's one of the best in the world, I did go in and just die and take that hit for the team so that my two better teammates could live on. So that
That's
was my
almost
task.
noble.
Yeah, I like to think so.
Well, we wish you all the luck. As a reminder, this wonderful event is sponsored by the folks at Castile Armory. And as a reminder, if you're curious, we've got a rotating gala of graphics in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. There's Castile right now, among our other
My
wonderful,
coach Mike
generous
used to be my
sponsors.
squire
who
as well,
provided
so I called him
such as
Squire
Reggae
Senpai.
Armory, Ian Carmichael Translations, a brand new Fiore translation with annotations has recently come out that I highly
And you were coach
recommend.
like
Malleus Martialis, Siggy Forge, a bunch. And keep looking.
It's like absurd.
How could we be behind?
That would be crazy.
They're calling the future. Wait, the stream delay is 20 minutes?
It's like absurd.
Yeah.
All right. Well, is it still up?
No clue.
You tell me.
My phone is like I didn't keep it going because it's going to die. Oh, you got like an iPhone charger?
Not the iPhone one here.
Mine's in my car.
Yet another win for the Android users.
Yeah.
Oh my god. 666 megabytes of data shared.
Holy shit.
That's it?
Yeah. My hotspot slaps. Samsung S21.
Yeah, it's still live on my phone.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Check the chat. Not that it'll tell us.
Someone said no score tracker. Damn.
No score tracker?
Yeah. Gotta up our game.
Well, that's RJ's responsibility. RJ, why don't we have a score
No.
tracker? RJ, why don't we have a score tracker?
Because the score doesn't make sense.
What?
I think RJ just doesn't understand it.
There's no. Who the fuck am I?
No. Formal stream. Oh heck yeah! So we've got with us.
We've got Declan Maloney here with us.
Hello.
No.
Wait, can you get
All right, get in here.
Damn, we're picking it. Alright, coming
Take
in.
over my.
This is awful. Hey, what's up? Maybe that's probably the best, yeah. No, we're good. I'm in. Abby's out.
So
Declan,
what
yeah.
has been your strongest weapon today?
Longsword.
Where I have to.
RJ's almost destroyed the monitor. He almost ripped it off the table.
That's
Yeah. My strongest weapon is longsword. Our
Fence!
there's fencing happening. Do you care?
Well, we'll talk
All right,
over.
this is my teammate. So far in the tournament, our strategy has been if it's longsword, I go.
Oh.
If it's rapier dagger,
So the bend is
it's,
from just touching the hands and
Matt
bending up.
here.
That was it.
fencing in the blue corner right now.
Fencing in the blue corner.
Very quiet to try to speak up.
Oh yeah, okay. That's just me not talking loud enough.
No
I
pass.
should
I
know
called
better.
for the bend, but
this
it didn't
is,
arrive
This
in
is
the.
my job. I'm a professional
Ready.
musician. I should know better.
You should.
So if it's longsword, I take it, or if
pushed
it's somebody
against
that we had no data
I mean,
on, we sent
that's how I
RJ
think it
to
ended.
go either try to scrub them out, as we say, or take the
like
L and give us data.
And then
That worked very well in our
that's what I,
favor against
perceive.
one team, which I do not remember, where RJ
Ready.
went out,
Fence.
lost his match, but gave us incredible data on their longsword fencer, and I was able to use that to my advantage.
That's exactly what I was sort of hoping to see here today in the teams is tactical use of the roster, strategic use of the rosters, using them to sort of gain data or sacrifice. No offense, RJ, dead weight.
Both passe, no pass.
I kid.
Ready.
I kid.
RJ
Fence.
was I hard disagree with the fact that any teammate is dead
Halt.
weight, because even a fencer who stands no chance of winning
what did
can
you
still provide excellent tactical data to his teammates via their sacrifice, which RJ did excellently.
Precisely.
In fact, I would even go so far as
think
to
so
say
too.
that my win in longsword against the person that defeated RJ
we see blues
would
is
not
passe,
have been such a
gold
sure
is
thing
good,
had I
point
not had
gold.
the opportunity to see them fence RJ.
And that's one of the interesting and unique dynamics of a team's
Ready.
tournament.
Fence.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, and so Matt here is far and away more skilled than I at small sword and sword and dagger.
Oh.
So whenever given the opportunity to send him, we would take it. However, there were
Double.
times when I took a small sword match in order to in a match that Matt was not convinced he could win for sure. I took the match in an attempt to double out the other fencer.
Ready.
In an
Fence.
attempt that we both lose a life.
Interesting. And did that work?
It almost worked. We had some judges that called attacks out of tempo that may or may not have been, but that's what the judges are for. Us fencers often believe we can see everything, but
Halt.
very rarely actually can.
Beautiful
I'm-
thrust here.
The
I don't know
call
if he
is
was
double.
doubled
I'm
or
going to
not.
check what
Oh,
that
he
means in
was.
the rules.
Interesting. I couldn't.
What was the outcome?
So the judge was in the way. Blue fencer landed a thrust. Gold fencer presumably
score 3-2.
doubled.
It was on a double.
Okay.
And I think they're calling it double.
I need to go check on my fencer,
Yes,
but
of
thank
course.
you for
Well,
the interview.
Thank you for speaking with us.
Yeah, I guess.
So, the possibility of tactically doubling somebody out
Final score
is
3-2.
interesting, and one that probably the
doubles,
person who wrote the rules probably did not account for.
Right.
And so it's a very interesting set of data for next year, and we'll see if maybe we'll change some
Match
things up.
gold.
Okay, match gold. I don't know why.
No more. What? What do you mean by this?
So I'm not sure exactly what the rules question was. I think that gold fencer in fact was up by 2. I think was up, so it was a 2-1, or was up by 1 and there were 2 doubles. We wish that we had a score counter, but RJ couldn't figure it out. That's a joke. All right. So there's going to be a couple more minutes or between the next bout, so we're gonna quickly duck away, and we'll be back in a couple of minutes. All right, so we'll be back in a second. They're just doing some more prepping. I think we're really getting close to being done with teams, and teams will be the last bout of the evening. If you're wondering why we're going away from the camera, we're doing some futzing with it. RJ's face is in it, and we don't want you to see that.
That's all you got before things start falling over.
If you want to move it closer, that's fine. You move it even more closer.
Ready.
And we're back.
And fence.
This will be a rapier and dagger bout.
Alt.
Very nice thrust from gold fencer there. Blue fencer getting a little close.
We see cuts of the arm from blue, thrust down the middle, very clear from gold. So that's a double. Ready. Fence.
Blue able to get a less dramatic.
Can you fix your score, please?
So Blue's able to get a less dramatic touch there.
Good enough.
I was too busy looking at the flex of the blade.
I was very judge mind wiped, I think.
Gotta be behind
the
the
flex from gold over here as
Ready.
well.
Look, we're not judging. That's their job.
Yeah, we're here to look for cool things.
Alt. Point. Gold.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
That time
Yeah.
another thrust from gold.
Fence.
Managed to land on the torso there. Between the weapons, it looked like again. Gold moving both weapons around a lot.
Alt. So that's a cut with a.
So it looks like Gold's initial thrust is passe, and there's a renewal with a cut that could be good.
I'm gonna check the.
Well, the camera will be back in a second. We should be back now. We just had to swap out the
And
memory
what's the
card real
penalty?
quick. Yeah, we're just keeping the batteries alive. Now, I couldn't tell if.
So that's a technical foul for a hit with the strong by Gold.
Yeah.
So the match ends in a tie. Means both fencers lose.
So Gold Fencer's cut there hit with the strong and a little bit with the hilt, and that is a foul. And so that will result in a tie. That will result in both fencers losing a life.
Yeah.
One of the reasons why we're a lot of things that cause both fencers to lose a life rather than not is to keep the length of the event manageable. Yeah, so we're going to be right back with the camera. Yeah, so we're just waiting for the next bout to get ready. So while for most of the other events, we're going to have a digital system that we're using of our own invention, very ingenious, something to do with Excel spreadsheets that I couldn't understand. So that'll go a lot faster. But for the teams event, because of the way it is, all the different teams, all the different lives, that is just done by pen and paper. But tomorrow and Sunday, things will be moving around quicker. Creating an Excel sheet for the 80 million different teams will be a pain in the butt. But on Saturday and Sunday, things should be moving a lot quicker between bouts as we run things through our own score sheet.
Oh, that was from.
And we're back with some rapier and dagger. Blue Fencer's crashing in. I think Blue is able to land in the scrum there and parry Gold high with the dagger. Gold testing, extended. I think Blue's able to parry with the dagger and land to the gut with the sword. So Blue Fencer there going for a cut to the flank, but the time to charge it was simply too long. I received a blow, but luckily for Blue Fencer, having previously scored 2 points, they win. Yeah, so we're really coming up to the end.
Although, admittedly, I've thought that a couple of times now, and
Yeah. So tomorrow at 9:30, Beat Your Longsword will start. Now that's the schedule. Today we only started 10, 15 minutes late. So for a HEMA event, that's pretty good. That might as well be early.
Truly.
I think I've been to like 30 HEMA events in my lifetime, and only like one or two have ever been on time.
I don't know that I've ever been to one that started on time.
Exactly. So if all goes according to plan, at 9:30 the Beat Your Longsword should start, and that should go up to about 2:30. The schedule, I believe, is posted in the Boar Discord, and I believe somewhere on our Facebook page. So we'll start with the Beat Your Longsword tomorrow, and that should be very exciting. Abby, are you competing in that?
I will be, yeah. So
Well, good
I will be
luck.
there in B-Tier Longsword. I am very excited for it. It's I've done a handful of B-Tiers at this point. I was at Revolution Rumble. I was at Iron Gate Exhibition. Fencing and B-Tier in both those. I think those are my only other 2 B-Tiers, but it's been a great time. I'm excited to do it again.
I'm certainly very excited. There's going to be a lot of good fencing, and hopefully we'll get a lot of interesting data. I think we certainly will.
Certainly.
I think we're gearing up for another rapier and dagger bout here in a second. After the lunch break following Beat Your Longsword, there will also be sword and dagger starting around 3 p.m. So if you like what you see in this match and want to see a lot more, tune in tomorrow at 3 p.m. Gold almost going a little early there. With the saber, point high. Looks to me as though Gold's cut might well be parried on the dagger. And Blue gets in. It's hard to hear what. I think we'll be taking a minute here.
Oh, looks like Gold Fencer is back, feeling better, hopefully.
Similar Hansel guards here. Blue trying to get in. Dueling cuts there. We'll see. It looked like Gold's got in, and Blue's was maybe obscured from our angle. We'll see what the director has to say. That'll be point Gold. Blue getting aggressive. Going for the cut to the hands. Now Gold's got a saber. It's going to be hard to get a cut to the hands. Looks like Blue's able to get between the weapons with a thrust from our angle. Gold has a riposte, but it might be late. So we're going to end with another tie. I actually like ties in sports. I think the move to get rid of ties in sports generally is bad. I like ties. Says all right. RJ's chirping off screen. Don't even try that. Don't even try that, man. Don't even try that. He it's a good thing that RJ's not mic'd up, because he's spouting blatant disinformation and misinformation right now about obscure conspiracy theories or what. That's fine. RJ's not mic'd up. It's all good. So we're waiting for the next bout to come in. I think we're at maybe 2 fencers. Kieran very excited over there, as you might be able to see.
Oh, it's Declan and Kieran.
It's gonna be Declan versus Kieran.
Oh, is that the final? Is that are those the only 2 fencers remaining?
Go find out, RJ.
I see. Maybe they're fencing, and that's what's got them so excited over there. RJ will get us the intel. if there's. I don't see anyone else with tape. Is it final?
So I think yes, we're gonna have a longsword bout, and I think it'll be in this ring.
Is this the yeah?
It best be in this ring. Yep. So we've seen Declan here in gold. He quite enjoys parrier post with cuts to the middle line. Now Kieran, very athletic, very fast, likes a ballistic passing step into a thrust, into a Zornhau, into an Oberhau. This will be a good bout for sure. Blue fence are getting aggressive there, going for the hands. Gold trying the one-handed thrust. Cheeky, dangerous for the fencer this fast. Rising cut from blue is parried. Cut to the strong.
They both have each other's number. These are two fencers who have fenced each other before in A-tier pools in Revolution Rumble. And so
Now
they train together. They know what they're doing. Yeah.
Now there's a back and forth there. A thrust is parried by Gold, but Gold came in and I think was also parried. And then there's matching cuts to the arms, but I think blue got in first. The question will be, what is the tempo? That'll be a point to blue. Now Gold Hunter has to win this pass. But he does not. That's a cut to the hands there, cheeky. Blue is fast and has a lot of measure. That's going to be a double. That's quite an interesting pass. Declan, I think, felt he had to get in deep, but did not have the distance, and was parried, allowing blue fencer Kieran to riposte with a Zwerk to the arms. I think, and it's hard to be critical in that spot. I think that Gold Fencer maybe should have tried to establish a more advantageous position before going in, or else turn that into a feint. But Blue Fencer is just so fast and is able to bring his body and face back that he was able to parry that, to void that, and to keep that point out of his mesh.
Certainly. I think it was a difficult position for Gold to be in. But, I mean, that's easy for us to say. I think that,
True.
the distance, say, oh, well, if you had just tweaked your distance just a little bit, maybe that would have gone favorably. It is so hard to know when you're in that ring.
Of course. This is certainly one of the easier jobs going on right now. We don't have to judge, direct, or fence, which is why it's so nice and why I hope to continue commentating for as much of this weekend as they'll let me.
Certainly this does feel like judging, but with lower stakes. We can start to say what we think happened, but we have no obligation to be correct.
We've also got an instant replay.
Oh, yes, which makes it a lot easier for us to know.
Yeah, we'll see something, and we'll hit the button and look, and then we'll make our opinion in slow motion. Now, as is worth mentioning, for most events, not for teams, but for every other event that's going to be happening, I think, except maybe beginners, the finals pool will have access to instant replay via challenges. Rapier and dagger up here. Blue fence are really looking to cut, it looks like. Ooh. Well, that's a thrust deep. Never mind. But yeah, so in the finals pools for upcoming events, each fence will have one challenge. And we'll be able to instant replay on this screen from this angle, from this camera. Gold, or excuse me, blue with another cut there. Gold has got to be careful. Again, another cut to the hands.
Some nice control of that distance and measure. Not if
so these are the last two teams, I believe. And so there's going to be they're going to refence with the same teams, and they're going to be going with a small sword. Both fencers seem to be very excited about small sword. I don't know if you could see them leaping in the air to celebrate. Blue fencer there, a little too ready.
A little excited there.
Quick double there.
I'm sorry.
Double.
A couple of short thrusts and then that double there. I think this will decide it then, right?
Ready. Fence.
Oh yeah, it certainly will.
Halt.
Oh.
So.
Very aggressive.
Yeah.
I think, to be honest, we've had a couple doubles. I think maybe a little too aggressive.
All right. Point blue. Rolls his fast
Given to blue.
I think Blue's able to exploit his speed and exploit his reach and be able to get there before Gold has the opportunity to respond in that time.
Makes sense.
Now that may well be the end. We'll see. We'll find out in a moment, folks.
And that looks, based on the celebration, it looks like that is that.
Oh, I wish I'd instant replayed that. That's my mistake. I should have hit the button there. In the future,
I
I
have to respect being respectful.
No, you didn't. No. It was something else, Derek. Something else.
Oh, cool.
No, you're good. You're good, Derek. All right. We'll see you guys tomorrow at 9:30 p.m. Thank you very much. Good night and good luck.